These are your Unit 1B, Day 6 notes. In this set of notes, we are going to practice simplifying square roots, which falls under the standard 2A. So, we've been practicing finding square roots of perfect squares. Now we're going to practice finding square roots of not perfect squares. So if we look at this first number, 24, the square root of 24. What we've done in the past is we've put this into our calculator. So let's do that again. Square root of 24. When I do that, I get an answer of 4 point a bunch of numbers. So I'm going to round to the nearest decimal place, which makes this answer 4.9. So we can see right here that we have found the square root of 24, but it is not a whole number. In order for a number to be a perfect square, its square root must be whole. Let's try another one. We have the square root of 75. Again, we done what we always have done, and we put this into our calculator, and when we do, we get an answer of 8.6 or 8 6/10. I can see again, not a whole number, so this is not a perfect square. Try the square root of 20. Square root of 20 is rounded to 4 and 5/10. We can see right here, it's 4 and 5/10. Is 20 a perfect square? Nope, because the square root has a decimal. It's not a whole number. And we'll go to the last one. Again, same thing. Let's put this in the calculator. We got our square root of 42. Square root of 42 can be rounded to 6 and 5/10. Is the square root of 42 a perfect square? Nope, because the answer has a decimal. So the thing here is, how do we know if a number is a perfect square? Well, the square root is a whole number. So let's put that in our notes. Okay, let's try another one together. Here we go. We have the square root of 75. So the first thing that we do, and you can see this in blue, is we break down the number under the square root sign, 75, using a factor tree. So I'm going to take 75, and I'm going to break it down using the factor tree. I know that 5 times 15 is 75. 5 is a prime number, so I leave that. And then we have 15 is 3 times 5. Those are both prime numbers, so I leave that. My second step here is to circle all the prime numbers. You can do this as you're doing the first step. They can happen together. So we have prime, prime, prime. We've done that first step, okay? So I've done step 1, step 2. Now I'm at step 3. Place all the prime numbers under the square root. So I take all the prime numbers and I put them under this square root sign. So I would have 3 times 5 times 5. I've done step 3. Now step 4 is I circle any pairs. There are 2 5s here. That is a pair because there are 2 of them. So I have done step 4. Step 5 is I pull out each pair in front of the square root sign. So I have my square root sign, and I'm going to pull out any pair and I will put that right there. Any other number stays in there. So I pulled out my pair, which is 5. The number left is 3. There's nothing inside here to multiply, so the simplified square root of this would be 5 square root 3. Okay, make sure you have all of this information in your notes, and then I am going to do one more and then have you guys try on your own. So here we go. We have 20. Let's find the square root of 24. Step 1. Now, I always like to do this one off to the side just so I have a little bit more room. So step 1 right here is break down the number under the square root sign using a factor tree. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. So I have the number 24, and let's break that down using my factor tree. So I have 4 times 6, no primes. Then I have 2 times 2. Nope, those are both prime numbers, so I'm going to circle them. Get to 6, no primes, so I need to keep going. 2 times 3 equals 6, and both of those are prime numbers. So I'm going to go circle. All right, so step 1, break down the numbers using a factor tree. Did it. Circle all my primes. Did it. Step 3, place all prime numbers under a new square root symbol. So I'm going to do that right over here. So my next step is I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Next, I'm going to circle any pairs of numbers that are the same, and just for helping myself stay organized, I'm going to write this again. So now I'm at step 4. Step 4, I have 2, keep my times 3, okay? But now step 4, I have to circle any pairs, which are 2 numbers that are the same. If I look here, I have a 2, a 2, a 2, and a 3. So it has to be a group of 2. So I would circle one pair of these 2s. This number is not circled because it doesn't have a pair. You circle every time there's a pair of numbers. So because there are 3 of them, we only have one pair. If you had 3 shoes, you'd only have one pair of shoes, and then you'd have another one hanging out extra, which is what we have here. So now that we have identified our pair, we are going to go to our next step. And we take that pair and we pull it out outside of the square root sign. So we put our 2 here, and then everything that's left in here stays. All right, step 5, and now I'm at the last step. Multiply any remaining numbers on the outside of the square root sign and any inside. There's only one number here, nothing to multiply. But if we look in here, we have 2 times 3. So we need to multiply those together. So we leave our 2 on the outside, nothing to multiply, and then we take these 2 numbers right here, and we multiply them. 2 times 3 is equal to 6. So the simplified square root of 24 would be 2 square root 6. Okay? All right, I want you to go ahead right now, and you're going to pause the video and try 20 on your own. Only 20. So you're just trying this one on your own. Okay, go for it. All right. Hopefully you tried number 20 on your own and didn't just keep watching the videos with captions and not listen, because you're hurting yourself if that's what you're doing. All right, so here we go. Square root of 20. Let's simplify it. Step 1, make my factor tree. All right, so we got 20, which is 4 times 5. Oop, 5 is a prime. I better circle it up. Next, we have 4. So 4, we have 2 times 2. 2 and 2 are both primes, so I need to circle them. Beautiful. So I've completed step 1 and step 2. Made my factor tree, found my prime numbers. Next step is I need to put all of my prime numbers under a new square root symbol. So we have 2 times 2 times 5. Next, I need to circle any pairs of numbers that I have. So I have my new square root where it's broken down into primes, which is 2 times 2 times 5. Now I need to circle any pairs of numbers. Well, I can see that there's a pair of 2's right here, so I need to circle those. Next step is to pull out any number that is a pair inside the square root. So 2 times 2 is a pair. So the 2 goes here. Anything else stays the same. 5. Our last step would be to multiply any numbers on the outside or any numbers on the inside. We do not have any of those to multiply, so my answer is 2 square root 5. Hopefully you got that same answer. If not, you need to fix your work. I strongly suggest that you are writing down each step in order. It really, really helps you keep your thoughts organized. And then you can always go back and you look here and see, oh, did I follow all these steps? And then if you have all the steps written down that you did, you'll know whether you followed them or not. Okay, we got 2 more. We have the square root of 50. This one was on the other page, so I'm going to change this to the square root of 40. We're going to try to find the square root of 40. Okay, so you have the choice right now if you would like to just watch the video and follow along, or if you would prefer to pause the video and come back and check your work, that works too. Okay, so for those of you that are choosing to follow along, here we go. For those of you that are coming back, I hope you got your answer correct. All right, we have 40. First thing we do is find the prime factors by making a factor tree. So we have 4 times 10. Neither one of those are a prime, so we need to continue. Now I have 2 times 2 equals 4. Those are both primes, so I'm going to circle them. I go to 10, continue to break that down. I know that 2 times 5 is equal to 10. Those are both prime numbers, so then I circle them. Okay, now I've finished making my factor tree, so I'm going to go ahead and follow the steps to simplify it. Step 1, make a new square root symbol and put all of the primes underneath. So we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Next step, circle any pairs, and I like to rewrite it, you guys, just so I can see each step. So we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. All right, I'm going to circle any pairs. Whoop, I got 3 2s, but only one pair. Next step, I have my square root, and I pull any pair out and put it outside of the square root. So that's where my 2 goes. Everything else stays inside. So we have 2 times 5 left inside. And my last and final step is I multiply any number on the outside. So we only have 1. We have nothing to multiply 2 by, so that stays there. And then we multiply any numbers on the inside. We have a 2 and a 5 here. 2 times 5 is equal to 10. So the simplified square root of 40 is 2 square root 10. Okay, make sure that you remember that I changed it to 40. So when you're writing this down, you don't have the steps for 40 and the answer 50, and then it doesn't make sense. Okay, so hopefully you did this right. Hopefully this is starting to make sense. If not, we'll get there. Make sure you have all the right information down. Let's move on to the next problem. Okay, this one's a little tricky, so I'm gonna do it. First, again, we make our factor tree. So we have 38, break it down into 2 times 19. These are both prime numbers, so I'm going to circle them. Next, I take my prime numbers and I put them under a new square root symbol. So I have 2 times 19. Next, I circle any pairs I have. I do not have any pairs, so then I would move on. I have nothing to put on the outside, nothing to put on the inside, so I'm going to skip that step. And I am left with, to multiply what's left inside, 2 times 19, which is 38. So the simplified square root of 38 is 38. You can't break it down any more than that. That'll happen every once in a while. So if you have a number and you multiply it, you use 2 primes to multiply it, then you're done. You know you can't simplify it any farther, but it doesn't hurt to go through the steps and check. All right, this is a new concept, a little challenging, but you guys are gonna get it. Please make sure that you have everything in your notes so that you can refer back to them. And if you're confused, rewatch the video. There's no harm in that. I know a lot of you have time and study skills to be doing that. All right.